Well, hello there, everyone. Give me just a moment. I need to make the announcement because I almost forgot. I mean, I would never forget. How's everyone doing today? Give me just... Go. Announcement done. Hello. It has been a good week, actually. It's been a little bit different than I expected it to be, but in a good way. I am now working on the game full time, so that's been amazing. Finally being able to switch to doing what I love all the time. It's pretty glorious. Hello. It was a really busy week, though. Yeah, it's been crazy. So I've been working on this area. I'm not going to show what I'm doing over here yet because it's only barely started. Or the specific feature that I'm doing over here. But we're still going to work on the area surrounding it. I need to make it a slightly better transition, and I was planning to add a swamp today too, probably. It is great. Yeah, I've loved it. I've just been constantly working on the game. And that is not even a tiny complaint. I love it. Did want to see it. I need to remove some of this older foliage from here. Some that we just don't need here. Thank you, I'm glad you like it. Just need to find... There are some certain trees I've been removing because I'm not a fan of how they look. I think it's the medium. No? Oh, that would be so awesome, though. I would love to see Asia in person. I don't think we need this many palm trees. I'll remove a couple varieties. I'm glad you like watching. I love working on the game. And I'm glad other people are excited too. Also, don't want these to be incredibly dense. That is actually exactly what I was thinking of when I made that mountain. I love Jurassic Park. It's actually not fully loaded right now either. There's a lot more going on here. Basically this, but more. I just don't have it loaded. Oh, actually it is supposed to be loaded. That's odd. I guess some of them disappeared from here. It happens. It's all in the fun of game development. Let's see. I'll get those replaced real quick. Definitely don't need redwoods right there. No, here we go. Yeah, I think it's because I have a couple of them overlapping, so I think it caused some of them to disappear. Yeah, I see that. There's lots of new people here. Getting stuck is something that I'm keeping an eye on. There's some areas I've thinned out, things like that, or collisions I've modified on the models themselves. I'm gonna make sure that's not a problem. And if it is, I will still fix it. I plan to be working on the game for a very long time after it comes out, so I'm not just gonna drop it. So if there do end up being any issues with people getting stuck, just let us know, and I will take care of it. Oh, I see. Luckily, I'm about to start streaming more often since I'm doing this full time now. Just gonna go ahead and fix up these mountains real quick before I replace the rocks. They weren't supposed to disappear, but alas, it happens. I technically still have another job so I can pay the bills, but it's also game development related, so, and then selling my own assets on the marketplace for Unreal, that helps too. Oh yeah, I actually work directly with um, one of the guys who does the programming for the dinosaurs on the height of the steps and stuff like that, so I can make sure everything is traversable as much as possible. So oftentimes I'll go in and, like the logs you mentioned, for example, I'll go and change the collisions that they come with to make it traversable so that you don't get stuck on it. That being said, there are going to be more clear areas in the jungle pretty soon, so that will also help. Wanted to smooth this out a little before we replace the rocks. Oh no, I wouldn't have realized that you didn't natively speak English. Doesn't sound mean to me. I'm a pretty relaxed dude. But yes, I'll be streaming twice a week now. I haven't fully decided what day yet, just because I'm seeing if there's anything that can come up that would cause me to need to make it a different day, but I'm thinking probably Tuesdays. And since this is my job now, I'm trying to fix my sleeping schedule, so they might be earlier in the day too. Whatever I can manage. Let's see. That's the one I was looking for. So for stuff like this, I usually just generate it. Because I can set up where these things go with some pretty tight control, and it's a lot faster, as you see. I thought it was your first time on the stream. I just need to practice my ASMR voice. There was something I was trying to find. I'm not seeing it. Oh, yes. There will be more clearings very soon in the jungle. I've been experimenting with it. Strange, I don't know where this went. I'm glad to hear it. That's some of the rocks. Right there. I don't know where that went. Maybe I accidentally removed it. Maybe that's why it's missing. We shall fix it. Yeah, I made the jungle dense for that reason. That's just the whole thing that defines a jungle, like you said. The really dense foliage and undergrowth. But at the same time, I try to make it unrealistic in some ways by thinning it out in some areas. So we're going to move this to foliage. Copy this. Yes. Yeah, for stuff like this is one of those things that I just feel like it would just be a waste of time to manually paint them when I can mimic the same exact thing by just using settings with PFS. So that is what I'm doing. And there you go, we have rocks. Yeah, that was the same idea I had that an Islander has mentioned it too. That just for gameplay purposes, it would be good to have some clearings in the jungle. So, a lot of the times I generate the layout of a lot of the foliage and then I go back and manually change it to fit what I need. So I've been working on the way that I have foliage growing. So that I can have the distribution looking nice. Because that's also some extra control you get when you use PFS. You can actually simulate growth, which is one way to make it look much more realistic. So some people look at it as a shortcut or something you shouldn't do, but that's not what I think. I think that it's a great tool for making a realistic looking jungle or forest. I think I need to do some research on lowland rainforest so I can see exactly what you're talking about. Because I definitely want to give it some variety, so I'm interested. If you have any specific examples in mind, I could definitely look it up. I think... I know Islander put up a video recently. Dirt physics... In a way, it exists. I'll experiment and see what I can do. I can think of some ways we could do that pretty cheaply. For performance, I mean. Let's see. Okay. So I think what I'll do first is touch up this beach here, so I'm gonna load this area. If I can do it without crashing. YOLO. I believe he put it on our YouTube channel recently. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Oh, I missed your first question until just now. We have discussed making dinos tameable. I'm not certain what they decided on it, but I'll probably know more about that soon. I do like the sound of that. We can definitely do that. I'll find some good references. I like to model the forests I make after real life references. I don't copy them or anything like that, but I like to use it kind of as a reference to see how it should look. Yeah, I really do have a lot of faith in this game. I actually occasionally upload tutorial videos on my personal YouTube channel, but I'll have more news about that pretty soon. This area, I'm trying to remember exactly what rainforest I was looking at. It'll come to me. Will admit some of it is inspired by Jurassic Park. Just fix this water real quick or it's gonna bother me the whole time. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. I I really love it that people want to watch the game being made because this is my favorite map I've ever made personally, and it's just exciting to see people as excited as I am. Need to touch up some of these spots. They're a little too rough. I agree. And yes, I have been thinking about paid training because normally I try and help people out as much as I can, but a lot of the stuff I do now is very time consuming, so that would make it where I was able to do that without suffering financially. I'm not exactly wealthy. Always takes a lifetime to rebuild the nanite landscape. Oh no, no. We're definitely not planning on doing that. The most we plan to offer as anything paid is just optional things that aren't necessary for anything gameplay related. Just fun stuff. Yes, they can. And I will keep an eye out for you in the Discord. Because it's definitely something I've been thinking about. Yeah, it's mainly stuff like that that we would ever make paid. We're definitely not going to be locking essential things behind paywalls. I don't think any of us appreciate that, so I'm sure things will break sometimes, but we will fix them. I work on this game literally every single day, even when I wasn't doing this full time, so that won't be changing even after it comes out. Sorry about the wait. Oh, I completely skipped over the question earlier. How big the map is at the moment. The map is 64 square kilometers, although some of that is under the ocean, but not a huge amount. Yeah, modeling is really fun, and in my opinion, it's essential if you're going to be doing environment design, because I model a lot of my own models that I use in my projects. But what I'm thinking, I don't know if I actually have that area loaded. That's what I thought. I don't. I'll come back over there later. Yeah, I mainly model my own trees, things like that. It's really useful, especially with nanite. Full geometry foliage is very important. That would be awesome. Definitely nobody feel obligated. Nobody needs to give me their money or anything. But I'm just trying to make sure I continue making a living so I can do this full time. But you work hard for it too. Character models like dinosaurs I'm not as good at yet. But we do have somebody that models our dinosaurs. Oh, just like to put out a few options. See what this looks like. But yeah, I'm not amazing at character models yet. I don't know what it is. Foliage, stuff like that, it comes naturally to me, but I have a much harder time with facial features and things like that. It's a good idea. I'm not the one who handles that, but I'm sure he'll end up seeing this if he's not already here. I can tell you this, that we've been talking about setting up a tutorial Discord channel, like what you were talking about, so that we can train those who want to do that kind of thing from people that you see our work and you see that it's high quality, so we could train very well. And that would be more than just me. That would be for programming, for modeling. It's definitely something we've talked about recently. No, I'm glad you say so. It's important to me to communicate with our community. I personally don't like it when I'm interested in a specific game and the devs don't really communicate or want to talk to the community. I just don't like that. You're gonna use a few things over here. This definitely needs to be bigger. Yeah, big rocks. We'll just leave that huge gap. Shatter the immersion. An app would be a cool idea. Probably wouldn't be too hard to make either. It's been years since I've made a mobile app, but probably wouldn't be too bad. Not real sure about this one. I just like having huge rocks. I'm telling you, it's the vibe. My other work? No, the development definitely won't take 15 years. We're actually very far along already. I do agree, though. If it's better to have a game take a long time and actually come out good. I'm going to use a couple of these. Never mind. Not a huge fan. I feel the same. I'm only 32, but many days I feel like I'm 50, but I think that's because I was working in manual labor for a long time, so it tends to have that effect. I'm probably going to finally start healing soon, now that I can stay home and work on the game. I'm just trying to make sure I produce enough of my assets that I sell and things like that so that I can keep my sales up and stay at home. I guess it's hard to say an exact timeline, but we definitely want to have early access by next year. Just for those who want to do early access. Definitely understandable if you don't. Why does this look so terrible? I don't understand why it's only Megascans that do this. Is it the shading model? Is that what it is? Curious. I really think that might be what it is. For some reason they use a cloth shading model on a lot of these, and I don't understand. Ooh, you definitely get it then. I'm sure that has wreaked havoc on your body. I was doing tires all this time for 10 years, and I only just quit 2 days ago. See if these fit in somewhere. I like them. I started about a little over a year ago, I think. Somewhere around there. As for standards, there will of course be bugs because early access, but at least for my part of the game, the map, I would like it to be populated with interesting things by that time in every biome, and definitely want to avoid any game-breaking map bugs, which shouldn't be too difficult. Maps usually aren't the big problem. Although it could happen. Yes, it definitely took too long. I started making a little more from my assets that I create and sell, and then yeah, these just aren't going to fit. And I got hired by another company to make assets for them. So that's been pretty great. Oh, I knew I was missing this yesterday. We're not going to talk about where this goes. You're just going to have to wonder. Okay, good. Do need... That's what I thought. Just had to pause for a moment and take care of this. I was looking for it yesterday and I couldn't remember what I downloaded. I think we're going to add a little bit of beach foliage here. And then we're going to move on to go start on a swamp. Wanted to touch some of this up because it's an area I've been spending a lot of time in this week. That's what I thought. Okay. See how... that might be a little too dense. Just like me. Excellent. Very good. So I want to put these patches here and there that are more dense like that. But then a more regular distribution in other spots. Now, drop it down a little bit. Technically don't have this part of the map loaded, but it's probably fine. There we go. Now we need some rocks. Yes. Yes, there will be. Yeah, I've actually been working on some really tall reeds to put in places like that. We actually already have an area that I'm going to use for that, but I want to finish up some of the foliage I'm making for it before I continue on it. That's not great. Okay. I just wanted to get a little something placed down here. So this will work. We're going to go somewhere else. Because we need more swamp. And I think I have a place in mind. Stop being a pain. Okay. Let's see, I think it's over here. Kind of hard to remember sometimes. Yeah, I have considered that. I'm not sure yet if we're going to do it, mainly because of technical limitations. The landscape is so huge that our landscape material, we're using 16 slots for it currently, which is supposed to be the limit. Now, I'm sure we could push past 16 if we wanted to, but then it becomes a question of if it would be performant. So it's definitely something I have to think about. So let's find a good spot for a swamp. I admit, a lot of times before I start the stream, I'm like, I'm just going to start doing stuff and see where it goes. A lot of times I don't have a plan, and that's what we're doing. I've been removing some of the foliage I don't want, so I'm going to make sure that's all gone real quick. Some of these can go. The map is 64 square kilometers in total. I think I want to change some of these moss patches. We'll do that another time, but something I always think about when I'm in this area. I want to find a good spot for a swamp. I'll know it when I see it. You'd be surprised. It actually runs very well. Luckily, you only have small parts of the map loaded at any given time, so it's really not as demanding as it sounds. Yeah, I'm thinking somewhere right here. I'll add a little clearing here. We'll add some foliage back after that. The second island, I'm thinking I'm going to have it as a separate level that streams in as you get closer to it. So it shouldn't impact performance. I'll remove the medium trees here. Yeah. That is a good question. That's something I still need to find out because we only recently decided to do a second island. So we haven't discussed all of the specifics yet. We're going to use that. Let me see how this looks. I gotta say, I am not extremely impressed by this brush. Make this work. Get it? I do a lot of photo scans on my phone, so it is in a constant state of almost dead. Definitely need to remove some of these trees. I've wanted to add more swamps for a while, so I'm gonna like this. As a swamp, it's probably gonna be pretty shallow in this area, but I think I'll add deeper swamps as well. I just don't know if swamps are normally deep. At least not any I've seen. Clean this up a little bit. So I'm thinking a dense mangrove swamp right here. If this erosion looks any good. You know what? I need to remove some of these trees. This is just too much. Well, maybe not these. Dragonflies are a good idea. Yeah, I've never been to one, but since I'm about to release my own pack of full geometry mangroves, I've been researching them quite a bit. So I've been looking at some of the areas they grow in, and I think I have a good idea of what I'm looking for here. See if this works alright as erosion. So I don't want to make this like a stream where it has clearly defined edges. I want it to kind of flow all over the place. I've mostly been looking at tropical areas for the mangroves. Not a specific area per se, but more like... what is this? More like a specific look that I was going for. Cypress swamps sound so cool, though. We have a lot of the type of cypress I think you're talking about here in Texas, but usually they're not in swamps here. They grow by the water, though. Oh, that would be so cool. I live a few hours from a mangrove swamp, but I've never been there. It'd be really cool to see. I'm kind of spreading this all over the place because I want it to be kind of like a large-ish swamp, but not a stream necessarily. We'll try this out, see how it goes. Do want to smooth it out a little bit though. It's a little too intense right now. I think the only cold water I've experienced in Texas is Jacob's Well. Cold isn't really a defining feature of my area. I think this will probably work. Since I'm currently growing a ton of different trees in my yard, I've considered growing a mangrove, but I read they're pretty difficult to work with as a bonsai. I realized I actually forgot to smooth out some of this. Be a little hard to navigate. I did get a new tree in yesterday, though. I admit it. My addiction continues. Ficus microcarpa. Yes, I'm definitely into bonsais. I'm growing quite a few right now. I have a coast redwood, about to be two of them. Giant sequoia, Cryptomeria japonica, 3 dawn redwoods, Weeping Willow, and the ficus that came in yesterday. Oh, and Eastern Red Cedar. But that one is one I just picked from the wild. Oh, I need to remove some of this other stuff. Ooh, Japanese maples. I've been thinking about starting on some of those. Yeah, it seems like willows would be difficult to kill. They just seem to do their own thing and not really be too concerned about the environment around them. I did have to repot my cryptomeria yesterday because it grows extremely fast in the roots. So it was becoming root bound in its pot and I needed to move it. We'll add the mangroves in a bit. First, let's change the landscape material right here. Why does the mud look like this? Interesting. Yeah, I actually feel the same. I like moving them to different pots. Okay, for now we're going to use a different round material. I'm going to try out a few of them. Ah, yes. I guess I never really considered how sensitive a cactus might be to the temperature. Which is one reason I'm not certain how a Japanese maple would do here. We'll find out though. Oh no, I feel the same. This has been an ongoing issue trying to find a good second jungle material. This is more my placeholder. In fact, I think we're going to use that other one here, because I'm not liking how this looks very much. Oh, whoops, I used redwoods. That is not what I meant to do. Yeah, this is a much nicer material, but it's been hard to find a second one for the jungle. I try out new ones every couple of days. Yeah, that makes sense. Might be a bad idea to shock it like that. I have to be pretty careful with my post redwood and my giant sequoia. They're pretty sensitive. They become less so as they get older, but right now they're only about 2 years old. So they're still pretty small. About 1.5 to 2 feet. Ooh. I don't know if I could make the space for an indoor grow room, but it would be pretty cool. But most of mine have to be outside anyways, because most of mine are conifer trees except for the ficus. And that one I just leave it outside during the day for a bit, then bring it back in. They grow fine indoors, but I live in a very humid place, and I'm trying to encourage aerial roots. In fact, I'll post the ficus on the Discord right now. There we go. I just posted a few pictures of it on Discord. Okay, so let's put some of the water down so I can get a better idea of how it's going to look. Maybe squares about this size. Something like this. I love it. I think it's going to be a pretty cool little tree. That one is 4 years old. So I'm going to raise up the... I thought this would be an issue. I'm going to raise up the landscape right there. Perfect. So I think I'll expand it over here a little bit, and then raise up the landscape in some spots. I do. I have 3 dawn redwoods, and they're about 3 or 4 feet tall. And it is interesting, they're unusual trees. They also aren't very demanding compared to the other 2 in the redwood family. I think that'll work. I'll probably end up grabbing a bald cypress too, because those grow everywhere here. So for that one, I could just grab one in the wild. I actually have, on my Sketchfab, I have a bunch of free photo scans I've done of bald cypresses. Definitely need to thin out the forest right here a little bit. as in a lot. It's kind of hard to estimate, but especially now that I'm working on it full time, it really probably won't be all that long. Okay, now I can just smooth that out, and this should be usable. Ah, yes, that does sound like bald cypresses. Either that or pond cypresses, which look almost identical. I don't remember if they have the... if pond cypresses have the knees, though. I think they do. I photoscan them pretty often, and that is definitely one I always like to share. They're just really cool looking trees. I mean, I guess that's up to Islander, but I wouldn't say it's necessary. But kind of being able to use this one to speed up development of the second one should make it to where it doesn't take quite as long. Georgia does sound pretty awesome from what you've told me. Comparatively to Texas. Okay, I just need to raise up some of this. I think without the alpha brush this time. I do love my plants. But I'm also making some clearings pretty soon, so it won't stay so dense. But also, it's just a defining feature of rainforests to have extremely dense foliage and all of that. So I wanted to make it feel lifelike, but I'll also change it for gameplay purposes. Yeah, those ranches definitely are here. Yeah, not everything is bad about Texas. It's just I'm tired of the heat all the time. You have a point. I think swamps are mainly a southern thing, which is where I am. But I might be wrong about that. I would if I could for the whole map, but it's so huge that I actually can't load the entire thing at once. I can load it in about a quarter of the map at a time. But this over here is the map. So we're in this little section right here. And all of this area is the map. Yeah, I think for me it's just the interesting stuff you can find in a swamp that would make it cool. I know we have crocodiles in Texas, but I've never actually seen one. Out in the wild, at least. You know, I'm really not 100% certain if fig trees can grow in the water, but I like how it looks, so I'm gonna leave it. Yeah, I think I'd be fine with catching the babies, but the bigger ones would be a little more concerning. That is not the way that I want to die. I'm going to change the landscape material right here to match the rest. Thank you, I really appreciate it. It'd be cool to visit the Netherlands, though. I've never been there. There's a lot of the world I haven't explored yet. One day. Oh yes. This will be a great place for him. That is massive. Yeah, that'd be a little terrifying to see in real life. Let's see how dense I need to paint these. Yeah, I'm hoping to prevent that too. I wouldn't want to force anyone to be in any certain area, but I'm trying to put enough interesting stuff that people want to go around and explore different areas. Oops. It's a little too dense. I think I'll make the brush a little bit smaller. I want more control. And I need these to stop tilting so much. Maybe 15 degrees. Oh yeah, go for it. I don't mind. I think the main thing for gameplay reasons is that I need to avoid making these so dense that you can't walk around in them. It's a little excessive. Thank you. Yeah, I like that they actually grow in the water. So it's perfect for this. I'm just trying to hit a good in between where they're not so, oh Jesus, where they're not so dense that you can't walk around, because in real life they're extremely close together, but can't really do that without blocking everything. I'll probably go back and manually adjust them. Oh yeah, I've heard of that channel. I've never watched it myself, but I have heard of it. Didn't quite need 2 of them. I think that's 2. It's always hard to tell with these. Yeah, that's just 1. Never mind. I'll just move it. I'll just kind of paint them all over the place, and then manually adjust them. One thing I like about these is that it can make a really dense canopy. Oh yes. I like huge trees. Hence the giant sequoia growing in my yard. Now I'll put them back to regular scale, so I can add more of them. Yes, and when I made these trees, I focused them very much around performance with nanite, so they run very well. I hope so. I'd like to keep doing this. Unfortunately, I have to make money, so if it's popular, that'll help me continue doing it. Yeah, I'm just gonna go back and manually move these because I can make it look a lot better. Let's move them around. No, I'm not using AI. Yeah, I'm gonna put a lot more of smaller foliage, just not so much grass specifically, since it's unusual to have a lot of grass in the forest. I mean, in the rainforest. I would be surprised if there wasn't. Whoops. I think I moved it outside of the area I have loaded. Yeah, I'll just remove this one. Yeah, it just depends on the area. In some places I have a little bit more grass, but usually I avoid a ton of grass, since it generally in the jungle it's slightly larger plants that are really dense. I say you should do it. I said the same thing for a long time, that I wanted to, but it looked hard, and now I'm very glad I did. Never thought I would get to work on something like this. So I wholeheartedly recommend you try it out. Might find you like it. I would say one of the things that makes it more difficult sometimes for somebody just beginning is that a lot of tutorials have inaccurate information, so that can harm your progress a little bit. So just don't overly rely on tutorials and try to learn directly how things work. It's very valuable. At the moment, they don't react to the wind that we use for our weather system, but they will be very soon. But yes, they do have wind. It's just that it doesn't respond to the weather yet, but it will very soon. That little piece of land is problematic. It can be a pretty steep learning curve when you start. But it really just depends on what you're doing. You'll have different challenges. For me, the hardest part when I was starting was a lot of the maps I wanted to make had really dense forests, and they're notoriously heavy on performance. So it took a long time to figure out how to make that run well. And now I can, but definitely took a lot of practice. I've thought about that. That would be so cool. You should. I say try it out. It's a lot of fun doing this kind of work. It's a steep learning curve at first, so don't give up. I almost gave up a long time ago when I started, and now I'm so glad I didn't. Now I make a lot of my own tree models, and in fact, that's what I'm doing as my other job. Never thought that would be me. Animation can be pretty tedious, so maybe you'd end up liking skin design more. I don't personally have any skill with animating, but I've seen it done, and it's definitely not for me. Okay, now we're gonna put some other plants to fill in these empty spaces. Do you know what graphics engine your roommate's using to make her game? And maybe you'll find that you have more fun working in something more challenging than Roblox. That can be a big part of the fun for a lot of us. I think the biggest thing that helps as a beginner is finding people who already know how to do what you're trying to do and learning from them. Yeah, it took me a while before I got used to Blender. Now I use it all the time, but it was a little learning curve at the beginning. So I definitely get it. I'm curious. I was mainly wondering if I'd be able to offer any help to her or not. Oop, that is too dense. Yeah, I've seen that. I didn't know for a long time that Roblox could do so much. That's pretty cool. A long time ago when I played Roblox, it was nothing like that. Couldn't do anything like that. At least that I knew about. Now I'm thinking some smaller plants that are a little more dense just in this area would be pretty good. Here we have. I'll put a few of these. That is true. Roblox definitely won't look the same, but it's also challenging to optimize something to where it can look and run good. You absolutely can. These are some of the plants that I made recently. Maybe I'll scale them up a little bit. I don't own the Isle yet, but I will soon. I keep planning to play it. I've watched Islander play it a little bit, and it looks cool. I think we'll add a few more plants around here. I'm just about to end the stream so I can eat some lunch. But I want to get a little more done on this first. We're on a roll. Can't stop here. You're probably right about that. I know I personally play dinos more than anything else on here. Just can't decide what plants to put here. I think I'll come back for the plants. But I have some other things I want to put here. Not all of them, but I've made a lot of them myself. But some of them aren't from us. But the mangroves, for example, I made those. The calatheas here, I made those. Quite a few of them. might use that. I'll think about it. I think you'll be pretty happy with the optimization in this game. I spend a lot of time on it. A valid question. I love my ferns. Probably should. Let's download some logs. Yeah, as long as you have relatively modern specs, you'll be able to get very good performance with very good graphics. Of course, I'll try and make everything possible run, but we are using the latest graphics features. It's just that they're much more optimized than most games you've seen. Exactly. We just can't stream without talking about ferns. Which is entirely reasonable. I think we'll grab a couple of these. I mean, ferns are pretty great. It's reasonable to talk about them every week, and now twice a week. You can message me to discuss ferns. We'll talk about it. Yes, we have a few caves right now, and some of them do have plants covering the entrance, like our horseshoe crab cave, for example. But there are many, many more caves planned. I just don't do them back to back because they're extremely time consuming. The main reason is, with nanite and lumen, it's bad to have one very large model, like if you were to model an entire cave and put it in here. So I actually make the caves with individual rocks. Yes. Ferns and horseshoe crabs. I support this. I might I might have to start posting some good stream memes. Playable ferns now. I just want to say, I started... I'm gonna call it Twitter, because it's still Twitter to me. I started a Twitter. I think I've only tweeted twice. But I have it, and that's the point. Oh yes. Ferns, it's kind of like the alpha. So if you are a fern, you're going to win. That's it. That's the end of it. Don't you worry about that black landscape. It's perfectly normal. I don't know what you're talking about. I would never. I hate how I have so much stuff that it's impossible to find. You have a point. These are special ferns, though. Obviously, just way more powerful than your average fern. Let's see, where's that last one? Aha! We don't need 8K logs, though. And there is the last one. Excellent. Yes, I fully approve. We're gonna bump this down a little bit. Telling you, the fern is the alpha. I have to make that a little bit more accurate. Perfect. So now we're just going to take it off this cloth shading model, because for whatever reason, that's what it is. Can't remember if I did for this one. And now we can use them. Good boy. You're right. The ferns, they're relentless. They feed from corpses and regrow. It can't be stopped. Had to make sure it was actually under the ground. Now that one I'm not sure it actually fits in. I'll probably use a different one later. Look at that, we can make a little bridge. Yeah. Bridge. Beautiful. look at a few more before we stop on it for today. A big log. I want it to be huge. Maybe not quite that huge. This one just fits. The moss and that it's rotting like this, it works. I also use this rock everywhere. I love it. Here we go. Thank you, I really appreciate that. I know, I want to touch this rock too. It looks soft. It's the fluffy kind of moss. There we go. Gonna add just a couple more and then we'll stop for today. I'm thinking one of these. That one's already good. Yeah, this one looks. Have to make sure it actually goes under the ground. I agree, it was fun. Move them over here a little bit. Perfect. Alright, we'll go ahead and stop here. Thank you all for tuning in. I will be back probably on Tuesday, and then Thursday after that. So I will talk to you all again soon. I hope you have a great day.